FEMA Disaster Recovery Center in Pahoa.
Okay, first I want to talk about my haircut. Yes, I did shave my head and I don't have a beard anymore. It was just getting so hot and it's in the jungle and it was annoying, so I cleaned up, looking pretty spiffy I think, right? Got my ears lowered, got my beard removed, got some chaps, goatee going. Okay, so I'm going to talk about FEMA in this video, and I want to talk a little bit about civil defense. I don't want to rant too much about civil defense, but let's start with FEMA. First of all, there's no prison barges waiting off the coast of Hawaii. There's no death camps ready to be put up and all the citizens rounded up and put into prisons. That is just not going to happen, at least not in Hawaii. They wouldn't even dare, because it would be a disaster, in my opinion, if they tried to do anything like that here. Our citizens are very, let's say, rebel-ish, right? We're very independent. We like to not be told what to do. I don't like to be told what to do. So FEMA, I went to FEMA today in Pahoa, their disaster relief center, and I've got to say it's not as bad as everyone was saying. You know, all these conspiracy theories with the barges and whatnot, that's just silly. There's no FEMA barges, right? But there's not going to be any help, right? There's not a whole lot of help, and there's a list of requirements that you have to, have to get any assistance. And don't quote me on anything, because I'm just going to go off of my memory of what I've read and what they've told me, and also I'm going to give some of my personal experience, and I'm going to give some experience of some friends. And a lot of my friends have been affected by lava. So now, I was at the center today, and of course they didn't want me to film or anything like that. And I'm not going to get anything, or I'm going to get very little, if anything, which I don't even want to bother going through the process to get it. I just want to be counted, right? I wanted them to know that there's, X amount of people that have been affected by this disaster. So I just think if you've been affected by it, you're living here and you don't qualify for FEMA, still go get counted, right? And it's just, I think it helps and it becomes more serious the more people that are counted, and they have a better, accurate data on what's going on here, so they don't just, brush us off. So please do that, right? I know it's FEMA, I know, right? So my house and my homestead is good. I just had a lot of SO2 damage and acid rain damage, and there's Pele's hair and rocks, or these types of cinder all over the place. Not a big deal. I think my homestead will recover. It might take a couple seasons, but hey, I should say it could take a couple harvests, a couple years, I should say. So hey, that's not bad. I'm the lucky one, and my heart goes out to anyone that's got their house covered in lava or burnt down by lava, and I'll talk about that later in the video. Some of my friends, I'll give some of their stories. So FEMA, now they will pay for my storage, because I moved a lot of my stuff out of my homestead to Hilo in storage, because I was worried that my house would get covered and everything would be just gone. And when your house gets covered in lava and your property gets covered in lava, yeah, it's gone. It will take hundreds of years to get back to anything that you would, unless your house was built on a lava flow already, or I'm in the jungle, and it would take a couple hundred years to get these big ohias, these huge trees that are in all the soil, or the little soil that we have, 6 inches, because I live on a plot of land that's only about 250 years old, in the sense that it was covered in lava 250 years ago. So now, I'm going to recover, so it's all good. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers. And I could get some money from the ag department because of my homestead, and I've lost a lot of fruit and vegetables that I ate and I relied on, and I did sell some or mainly just give it away. But the point is, I could get a little bit of money for that, and they're going to give me money for the storage, because I put some storage items in storage in Hilo, and I might be able to get probably around a couple $1,000 if I wanted to. Not a big deal. Okay, cool. My house is still here. Thank God. So if you did lose your house, it got completely covered in lava, like my friend in Lower Leilani. His house got covered in lava and his lot got covered in lava. He did not have insurance, and he was in the process of building a house, but he had everything kind of like set up. He had permits, it was just not finalized, and he got $34,000. That's the max grant that you can get from FEMA if your house gets covered in lava or burnt down or completely destroyed, if you didn't have insurance and it's your primary residence. That's key requirements, because if it was a vacation rental, you're not going to get anything. Hopefully you had insurance. They're just banking on everybody have insurance, right? And that's a whole nother video. I'm not a fan of the system and how it's set up. But anywho, so he got paid out. He actually got paid out a couple weeks ago. So that's pretty cool. At least he got $35,000. Nowhere near what he, just the land was, $30,000. So it's kind of silly. Anyway, so all the money that he lost, yeah, he ain't gonna get nothing. He didn't have insurance. I know it's dumb. I know, it's a mistake, but hey, sometimes you can't afford it. And I know that they've come up with a number roughly around 700 houses that were destroyed. Well, the actual number, and everyone knows around here, that it's around 1,000, because they're only counting permitted houses, right? So if anyone knows, Puna, and especially Lower Puna, there's hardly any places with permits. There's so much here, so much building with just no permits. My house doesn't have a final, right? I mean, this is from a long time ago, right? So, it's kind of country out here, rugged, and that's the way we like it. We don't want anybody telling us what to do. They just started cracking down on the codes in the past 4 or 5 years, and they've changed a lot of the building codes. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in Lower Puna. I think there should be basically no building codes, or very little. It should be definitely, my house is like a South American style jungle house, or a Thailand style jungle house. I just like that style of house, and it makes sense. You don't want a bunch of drywall and carpet in the jungle. It just is, you want single walled structures. I got cedar siding and ohia posts and some 2x4s and whatnot, and some 2x6s and whatnot, but I like that style, single walled on block and pier. So we got a lot of airflow, and it suits the jungle. Tin roof, no drywall. So now those people aren't going to get any money, right? If you had unpermitted house, and don't quote me on this, and you're covered in lava, your property's covered in lava, I don't think you're going to get any money unless you had insurance, and I don't even know if you can get insurance if you're not. Anyway, it was really hard to get insurance here, and I know a lot of insurance, I've heard bad stories and good stories, so I'm like 50-50 on that, right? I've heard some really good stories where insurance companies are calling people up without, this person calling them. They call them up and say, hey, I deposited a bunch of money. And they're like, oh, cool, really? Cool, because I had to evacuate. That's awesome. And then I've heard another story where the insurance company will call them up and say, hey, you know what? You're screwed, because if the lava starts a fire, a brush fire, or a wildfire, you're not covered. And do you want more insurance? And they're like, well, no. Or they won't renew your policy, because I've heard a couple of people where they had to renew their policy and they wouldn't renew it because this disaster was going on. In the middle of this disaster, they're not going to renew your policy. Whew. Wow. It was a long disaster. I mean, it's not over yet. Don't get me wrong. it could just pause for a couple weeks or a couple years, but there's going to be more lava here, guaranteed. This is the rift zone. It went for, I'm not quite sure exactly the amount of days, but it was over 90 days. It was over 3 months. I think it was 3 months and a week and a half, something like that. So it's a long disaster. It's not just like a hurricane where it just comes in and wipes everything out. This is just 3+ months, or what is that, like 13 weeks, 14 weeks, just a lot of destruction going on for a long time. So now FEMA's not as bad, and if they can't help you, there's other organizations that can, and they will guide you through that whole scenario. Like FEMA can't help me at all, right? They might be able to give me a little bit of money for my catchment and the rust on my roof, but I have to have an inspector come out, and they'll probably just reject it. But anyway, they've gotten a little bit better, because in the beginning, I know they were rejecting a lot of people, and they've kind of revised everything, and I think people that are reapplying actually get approved, because they've changed the rules a little bit. It's FEMA, it's the federal government, they can do whatever they want, right? So hopefully they're doing good and doing justice, and doing good by the people, and justice is served. No. Okay, so now, excuse me. I want to talk a little bit about civil defense, a little rant. Not too much, because, hardly anybody got hurt. There was no deaths that I really know of. There might have been one death. There's a couple injuries, but nothing too bad. So everything worked out, and I don't think it was necessarily all civil defense. I think the people of Hawaii are very independent, very tough, and we know how to, navigate the lava. I grew up in this area. I grew up in Puna. I've been evacuated 3 times because of lava. I've been under a mandatory evacuation 3 times because of lava. I have some experience. I have some training, if you will. Now, civil defense is supposed to, this is what civil defense is. Citizens protecting citizens and training citizens how to be safe and live in these dangerous environments or survive a natural disaster. Well, right off the bat, civil defense is not doing half their job. They didn't train us, and they're supposed to give us safety equipment, gas masks and whatnot, and train us on how to use it and be safe. They did not do that. They were just kind of like hoping that it would end quickly. Well, anyway, they gave out a lot of false information, basically. So always do your own research. I was duped, and I believed civil defense, and then later I found out that no, half of what they're telling you is a lie. So I want to ask some questions about civil defense and the DLNR. So the DLNR has been really, their job is to protect wildlife, and they're park rangers, basically. They have more power than cops on state land and, and parks like that, right? So DLNR, they cited like 100 people for loitering in the lava zone or checking out the lava zone, taking a picture in the lava zone. How many people have been stopped looting? I know of 2. One time, I believe it was a civil defense helicopter, caught some looters in a no-go zone, and the cops busted them. I think that's what happened. I didn't really read anything too much about that. It didn't really get much news. The one big story was when the first, the beginning of this eruption, and the first beginning of it, there was a guy that was caught in Leilani looting, but it was actually citizens. Right? I know these people. They put this guy under citizen arrest. They caught him, and they brought him to the cops. The cops didn't stop any looting. I want to know that. How many looters were stopped? Because I know of 5 houses that were looted, and 5 police report, at least, of looting. I've been to 3 of them. I discovered one with a friend, and there was our neighbor that was off island when this happened, and she contacted both of us to check on her house. We went to go check on her house, opened it up, completely looted. Yep, police report. Sorry, ma'am, your house. Yeah, it's just bad, right? So if there's 5 that I know of, there's got to be at least, 20, maybe even 30, just in this neighborhood. What about the other subdivisions? Kapoho, Hanaputu Gardens, Black Sands, wherever, right? I mean, you cited people for viewing the lava, but how many people have you arrested for looting? There's been tons of looting here. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Check your reports and check your stats. You've really goofed up here. So, that brings me to, I want to thank everyone. I don't want to be too hard on everyone. I'm just a citizen, right? And I know the job is tough. Being a cop is tough. Being a firefighter, being a paramedic, even working for civil defense, it's tough. I've, worked plenty of county jobs. I know how the bureaucracy is. And I don't want to be too hard on everyone. I'm just saying that there was a lot of mistakes made. A lot of mistakes. A lot more than you'll ever admit. But the citizens here that were on the front lines, they know. They know. We're very rebel out here. Patriotic and rebel. Well, at least I am. And most people are just rebels. I don't know. But anyway, my thing is admit to what's going on and tell us how many looters were arrested. I guess I could find out, look up on the internet, but come on. Boast that, not how many people have been cited, watching the lava and taking a selfie with the lava. Who cares? I got the theory of the Darwin. Let them go. The people get hurt. The rumors will go around. People won't be so dumb. Just let a couple people die, and then no one is gonna mess around anymore. It's gonna be an urban legend. So people get smart. I know better. I can handle it. Like I said, I've been trained through life experience. Evacuated down in Kalapana twice, right? Royal Gardens and Kalapana Gardens, right? I remember Walters, I remember Keiki Pond, I remember all that. That's where I grew up. I learned how to swim at the Queen's Bath down there in Kalapana. I know, I've seen it, I've done it. Okay, so enough of the rant, because I know Talmadge and Bill and a couple other civil defense guys, they watch my videos. And just change these rules. It's easy. Change the rules. So I'm gonna wrap this video up right here. I want to thank everyone for sending me mail. I love it. It's awesome. Thank you for all the gifts. I want to thank you for your thoughts and prayers. I want to thank you for subscribing. Make sure you hit the bell symbol to get notifications so you can watch my videos. And I want to thank you for sharing. Please share this video. I love all your comments. Please comment. I'll try to answer your questions. And until next time, a hooey ho!